We will find out. For now, though, let's get back into the meeting. And top Democrats have the health insurance companies in their crosshairs today. Contessa Brewer with the lowdown. Hi, Contessa.
Hey there, Dylan. It's all an effort here to curb rapidly rising premiums for everybody. They've introduced a new bill called the Health Insurance Industry Antitrust Enforcement Act. Doesn't exactly roll off your tongue, but boiled down, it's a warning to insurers: clean up your act. The law would eliminate a 64-year-old exemption that kept the insurance companies protected from antitrust lawsuits that other industries face. The big provisions here target price fixing and bid rigging. It also includes language that would prevent insurance companies from having a monopoly. That doesn't roll off the tongue either, Dylan. Monopoly in certain areas.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue, over your tongue if you're a health insurance CEO.
Yeah.
One of those areas is Pueblo, Colorado, where healthcare giant WellPoint controls 76% of the available health insurance in that market. That is not an unusual event in this country, unfortunately. Congresswoman Diana DeGette represents that district and has co-sponsored a bill in the House. We have our panel for this conversation as well. Representative, thank you for joining us. What is the greatest resistance to your efforts to attempt to restore the most basic principles of competition to this business?
Well, so far we haven't heard a lot of resistance, but I'm sure there will be resistance because, after all, the insurance industry is one of only 2 industries exempted from the antitrust laws for all these decades. So the reason we introduced the legislation is, it seems to us, if part of our problem is consolidation of insurance companies in one market, then putting them under the jurisdiction of the antitrust laws might actually mean more competition, which would mean lower prices.
Yeah, I want to walk down some of the statistics here just to get a sense of what has happened, or remind all of us of what has happened over the past 10 years. Health insurance premiums up 131% from 99 to 2009. Per employee health costs said to rise to nearly $30,000, $28,500 per employee, up from a current $10,700, which crushes employers. Healthcare industry, $263 million lobbying this year, we presume, to try to perpetuate some of their anti-competitive structures. What's the next step for you to advance this amendment in a way that actually liberates competition for all of us in this country?
Well, the amendment is pretty narrowly drawn. What it says is health insurance companies will no longer be exempt from these antitrust laws. We still allow states to regulate insurance just like they do now, but what we say is you can't price fix, you can't have a monopoly on a market. Senator Leahy is working on this bill, Chairman Conyers, and others in the House. We intend to take the legislation and offer it as an amendment to the House bill when it comes to the floor. So we're hoping, that in combination with a lot of other factors in the bill, we hope will really gain more competition. And if we can gain more competition among insurance companies, what that will mean is hopefully lower prices for consumers.
Hey, Congresswoman, it's Jonathan Capehart here with Dylan in New York. Do you have any idea how this exemption, or why this exemption, was granted in the first place?
I really don't know. As I said, it's National League Baseball and the insurance industry, not just health insurance companies, and it's been like that forever. I imagine part of the reason originally was because states traditionally regulate insurance, and that's good for a variety of reasons, but what it's not good for, especially with the way our economy has evolved, is it really allows in lower competition areas, it allows one insurance company, like in Pueblo, Colorado, to pretty much take over the whole market. And that's not good for rates for consumers.
Ezra.
Hey, Congresswoman. I was curious about the effects of your legislation if passed, right? So if we pass healthcare reform and every state has an exchange and there are a bunch of insurers competing, would then there be any role for antitrust legislation against insurers like WellPoint, or what can we expect if you see your provision go into law?
Well, first of all, under the House version of the bill, we're not going to have an exchange in each separate state. We're really going to have a national exchange that's going to be administered on a regional basis. So that will help also. But the federal antitrust laws are really designed to make sure that in any state or across state lines, insurance companies are not colluding to price fix or to establish monopolies or all of that. We don't really know exactly exactly what will happen since they've been exempt from all these years, but we do know that if we allow federal investigations and we prohibit this kind of collusion, insurance companies are going to have to actually go into markets themselves and compete.
Representative, thank you so much. Please keep us posted on the amendment.
Sure.
Particularly curious as to where you run into resistance. Representative DeGette, Pueblo, Colorado. 76%, 71%, well point. Funny times.
Proving your point.
Proving everybody's point, I think, at this point. Contessa, what's going on in the world?
Dylan.